It's looking for a blank cell, and it found 1 million of them. So we don't want that to be the case. Alright, hello, I am back. And by back I mean I just stopped the video and I started again for your viewing pleasure. In this final little section, we are going to build in a tracking column. I know, a tracker within a tracker, right? How confusing. But what it's going to do, it's going to give us a single number to give us an overview of the entire process. So let's get started with the tracking column. I'm going to call it, of all things, tracker. I'm going to insert it. It is going to be a hidden column, but it will be referenced to by our conditional formatting later. Okay, so let's call it tracker. I'm going to get the format of this one, format painted straight into the tracker column like that. Now what this is going to do, it is going to go equals sum of everything in there. So as you can see, what it has done, it has said, so this job, S1 or whatever it is actually at step 5. It has done 5 of the parts, and S2 has done 6 of the parts. Now what if the minerals weren't received? It's down at step 5. What if this wasn't received from our hub? It's actually down to step 4 now. So this kind of gives us a visual cue, like for us, but it also gives us a point of reference to make other calls down the line. And so that I don't get this hashtag symbol here, or a 0 value, or a blank value, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another cheeky little if function here. So I've got the sum, I'm going to embed the sum function in an if function. If the month, actually no, not if the month, let's do it in total costs. If total costs is greater than 0, then do the sum. Otherwise, present a blank, like that. I'm going to copy that one down. And as you can see now, that's just presenting blank. Excuse me, I am going to change that because we do need to keep track of things that have been planned, but maybe values haven't been entered. So if we will go back to the month. So if Q2, actually, if come all the way across, if C2 is again, if C2 is equal to blank, then blank. Otherwise do the sum. Okay? So that way it will present a 0 value. Let's just double check. So the second, if I put any, February. So if I put any value over there, it should present at least it did not do it. Maybe I dragged the wrong column. Yes, I did. My apologies, guys. So now when I enter a value over here, it does present at least a 0 value. Okay. Now, furthermore, I don't want to to present a 0 value. I want it to start. So the second that I start planning a job, I want there to be tracked as a 1. And then with each subsequent 1 or 0 over here, I want that then to be added. So if C4 equals blank, then blank. But if not, do 1 plus the sum of everything else. Okay, so what that's going to do now for me, it's going to present a 6, but that's okay. So now I see a 1. The second that I have put something in the month column, it is already saying, okay, you're in the first step of this process in the tracker column with it. And as you can see, every then subsequent 1 adds to that tracker. Start and finish. So from that 1 value in that tracker column, I can now make a whole bunch of secondary calls, right? I can say, I know that when that value equals 7, the job is ready to start. And until that value equals 7, we cannot start the job. Everything that leads up to the job starting has not been checked off. Okay, so as a very quick example, I'm not going to do anything grand here. What I'm going to do, I'll put in a very quick little rule in this conditional formatting section here. And I'm going to say, use a formula to determine the cells. So if the tracker column, make that not absolute, actually make it absolute in the column. If R2 equals 7, then put a fill that cell with a nice blue background and a border of big ugly red. Okay. All right. Now, what does this mean? Nothing changed there because this value over here in R2 has not reached 7 because we're still waiting on these minerals to be received. Okay. Now, what happens once those minerals are received? It goes boom. Let's say, hey, the job is ready to start because it sees a 7 in the tracking column, and thus it's like, hey, the job is now ready to begin. I'm going to delete these and see how that deletes again, right? And furthermore, you can if you know that you have a process in which it is very systematic, very almost like chronological, one is followed after the other, you could do the same thing. You could say that when tracker equals 3, put conditional formatting in column U, right? So when this equals 3, then present this cell as the one that needs to be filled out next, right? When tracker equals 4, there. But that's assuming that you follow a very straightforward thing, right? And now that conditional formatting hasn't been passed down because we haven't applied it to everything, but when we apply it to the entire column YY, you can see that now it is saying that all these jobs are ready to go. All right, maybe this one's not ready. Maybe we haven't actually requested the minerals for this one. Maybe the components haven't been received for this job, right? In which case, the only job that is ready to go is S2, that is those dragoons, right? Now, what happens when I actually do start the job? The conditional formatting goes away because in the tracker column, it is no longer a 7, all right? So that's how that works, and that's why the tracker column is important, because furthermore, what we are going to do, we are going to say that when the value equals 9, present these values out on the side, because once that job is done, only then do we want to see excuse me, putting on my sexy voice there. Looks like we just sold something. What did we just sell? Oh, nothing. We sold a Nereus. Yay. Madisk at Mupersega. Alright, so what we were saying is that we only want to see the particulars for a job that is finished. Alright? So what we're going to do now is we are going to finish this sheet by saying, I'm going to delete this little February because that never happened, and I'm going to delete these values out on the side here because we have no job that they are referring to. Okay, so let's say that the job is started. In this final one over here, we are going to say job code. And in this case, we are going to say SID number, because it is an SID number. I guess this will confuse because we've got the job code over there, but it is going to be the SID. We don't need that to be rotated anymore. And we are also so this final section over here on the right is like what information do you want to retain for your records? So we want to retain the SID, the month that it was done. We also want to retain the total cost. Actually, we want to retain, first of all, the name, the type, quantity, and also the total cost per, right? Now we're going to put a little border on the side there. And then we are going to have two things over here which say recorded. Actually, just one thing, recorded. So that we can keep track of, have we put it in our final records, our final job log, our final like the thing that we keep forever that says how many jobs we've done. So for me, I've got one over here that says my MIDs, and it's down to job 744, which keeps a record. I think there's a bit more because there was some jobs before. Like these are all, like if I pick something out here, you've got a stiletto. I'd made one stiletto. I don't know why I did that. 5 manticores, 3 hawks, 1 sacrilege, 24 tall walls, 73 punishes, endurance. And I've got records here that show how much the costs were on every job that I've done. So let's go to the functions here. So we're going to go equals if the value in the track column, absolute in the letter, if R2 equals 9, then present the job code. Absolute in the column. If not, just present blank. If, oh gosh, I didn't put the if in. If R2 equals 9, present the job code, which is cell B2. Otherwise, show blank. And as you can see, it's not finished, right? So it's not showing up. But what if, I'm not going to change that. What if the components were requested and they were received and we started the job and then the job was finished? Now I see the job code, all right? So what we are going to do, furthermore, leading on from that, so we know now that when that job code appears there, we can look up all the information over here, all right? Now we can do a similar thing that says, like for the month, if the tracker equals 9, then whatever. But we don't need to do that because all we need to do is actually refer to the job code, this SID, because we are now going to go equals if SID absolute equals blank, then blank. Otherwise, the month. Absolute in the column. All right. So now what happens? Now what happens if we finish that job? The job code appeared because it's tracker and 9, and because this column sees, or this cell sees, that there is a value in AA2, then it puts in the month of the corresponding job, yeah? And we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to get rid of that. We're going to do the same thing for type. Now you could do an index function here so that this populates itself and looks for itself, but in terms of the concept, we are just going to keep it simple and do it manually here. So if SID, absolute in the column, equals blank, then blank, otherwise present the value in the type column, which is here, Rifter. Absolute in the column, the value of false. We've already addressed that in the start. That is the value of false. Okay, quantity, similar thing. Now, I know that I shouldn't, I've got name over here and type over there. Let's put type over here because it really is type, because we'll be referring to type IDs and such. So quantity, same deal. Let's do it again. Equals if AA2, absolute in the column, equals blank, then blank, otherwise present the quantity. So how many did we make? 50, which is H2. Absolute in the column. Close it off with a bracket. Or parentheses, as they say. Total cost, similar. Again, we are going to go if SID, absolute in the column, equals blank, then blank. But if that's not the case, in which case, is there something in that cell? Then come down here and show the total cost. All right. Absolute in the column. Okay. Now we go to our cost per. Now because we haven't already done this calculation anywhere in the worksheet, we are going to do it this way. We are going to go equals if SID, absolute in the column, equals blank, then blank. But if that's not the case, we are going to do a sum. We are going to say the total cost divided by the quantity. Absolute in the column, absolute in the column. All right, so let's see what happens there. What happens when I start the job is finished and it presents the information out on the side. Total cost, I'm just gonna make that like this. I'm gonna give these values over here. I'm gonna go back up to the comma, down to 2 decimals. All right, so at the costs of what I've done there, finish those rifters, right? I did 50 rifters, the total cost, and then it's given me an extra little calculation out here on the side, which is 14,255,168 divided by 50. And that way I get a cost per rifter. So that way when I come to the market, I can list these rifters above 285,000 ISK and know that I will make profit. Well, after tax, you got to work in the tax, and that's up to you how you want to do that. So now you have your job log section, and I lied. There is one more step for us here. So what we need to do, we need to take this information, SID, month, type, quantity, total cost, cost per. We're going to create a brand new sheet. We're going to paste those values up the top, right? So when a job is finished, we can take these values, right? We copy them. We go to our sheet 4, or whatever it is, and we paste those values in there. That information is now kept for posterity. Posterity. It's there forever. Those are just values, pretty simple. Make the decimals. Put a little border. I know it's ugly as sin, but we will address that in another video. So we're going to go down here. Should have done this at the start. We're going to label our sheets. This is going to be ship, manufacture, and this is going to be S ID. Log. Okay, in the recorded section here, we are going to do this. We're going to say yes, it is recorded. All right, we have put it into the log. We can check S1. Yes, it is there. What's more, we can automate this process for us. So we can have this cell check for us if the job has been logged. All right, we don't need to go and use our eyes like normal people to do this. We can have Excel do it for us. So what we're going to do, we're going to go equals count if. This is a new function that we haven't touched on, but similar to what we do. So the range, where are we looking for the criteria? We are looking in SID log in column A, and the criteria we are looking for back in our ship manufacture thing is S1. Okay, so what is it? It's done. It said look in the SID log worksheet in column A, that one there, and look for S1. And if it exists, count it. If I had another S1, then it sees it 4 times and it counts it 4 times. And this is why the job code is important. We will never have another S1. There will never be any confusion. It will only ever find an S1 once. Because when we enter our next job, it's going to be an S2. Yeah? Alright. So it said that there is a 1 in there. What if this what if the job wasn't finished, right? Well, now it's looking for a blank cell, in which case it sees 1,048,574 of them, and it's counted every one. It's looking for a blank cell, and it found 1,000,000 of them. So we don't want that to be the case. What we do want, though, so to save that happening, we will come back to our SID cell again, but we're going to leave that function in there. We're going to leave the countif function in there. We're going to go if logical test, if SID absolute in the column equals blank, then blank. Otherwise, do the thing that we just did before, which is the countif function. All right, so now it's not showing up. We are going to drag that down. So that's going to flash fill all the way down to row 102. As you can see, that formula is there. What we have to do here, these total, that's all flash filled. We just need to also flash fill our logs here. So now all these are populated, and we are ready to go. I don't know if it was wise of me to try and do this all on the same day, because I'm kind of like, I don't know if I have helped you. But we have finished. And hopefully you've had some wine, some coffee, or something that has helped you get through it. And so let's actually use it. All right, let's have a go. So I'm going to delete all these particulars here. Delete all the information that I entered regarding them. Now come the end of this, we are going to hide some of these columns because we just don't need to see them. They will do their formulas and they will do their job, and we don't ever need to see them. So we will hide total BP, other, and total cost. We will also hide the tracker column But for now, so that we can see the back end and we can kind of be like double checking that what is going on is correct, we will leave those unhidden. So in practice, let's have a little thing here. Let's have a little go. I'm gonna bring up our job tracker and say this is you at home and you are doing this with me. Open up your manufacturing, find some sort of blueprint, be in a hub somewhere, and let's have a go. So let's say we are January. Let's fill out this information, which in a later video we are going to add drop-down lists to. What race? For some reason, I would like to manufacture let's say ruptures. I really do not need to manufacture ruptures, but as an example, let's say how this would look. So I bring up the rupture. How many are we going to do? Let's do 400 or 382. 382 ruptures. Let's not do 382. Let's just do 100. Let's say we're going to do 100 ruptures because we like we know we're going to be back in 7 days and 20 hours ready to pick up our ruptures and put them on the market. Okay, so it's January. The race is Minmatar. The class is Cruiser. The tech is 1. The type is Rupture. The quantity is 100. All right, pretty easy. The BP cost for this Rupture is going to be 0. Manufacturing cost, as you can see over on that section there, 12 million. 12,106,881. Now this is one of those values that you can choose to enter when planning or upon actually starting the job, because it's a value that can change depending on the index of the system. All right, the componentry, there is no componentry that goes into a rupture. The minerals, we haven't withdrawn any minerals, but we are in RENs. But let's say we are in Amar. Let's pretend we are in Amar. For this job, I'm not going to buy anything from JITA, but let's say I'm going to buy something from RENs. All right, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go buy all. Click on that little arrow. I'm going to wait until this all pops up. I'm going to not buy today, but as an example, show you what would happen if we were to. If I wanted to bring 100 ruptures to the market for whatever stupid reason. All right, so that's what the cost would be if I was here. So I would go now to my hub cost, 699,008,592. 699 million. And as you can see, in the total BP cost, there is no total BP cost. The other costs are everything else. So the mineral cost, the hub cost, sorry, and the manufacturing costs together come to 711 million. And now what happens if I say, as you can see, the tracker has said, yep, the job is now planned. There is a 1 in there. Now, I'm going to say, yep, okay, I press buy, and I spend 699 million on minerals. I say, so I just bought it. Let's say I just bought it. Hub bought it. And then I throw it all in my freighter and I move it out to wherever. I've received it. The minerals requested. I didn't need to request any minerals. That is done. Minerals received is done because I didn't need any. Components requested, yeah, done. Components received. The job has started. The job is ready to start, yeah? So what? Let's pretend, okay, I go up here and I press start. All the minerals are there. I press start. I come back 7 days later. The job is finished. I press finish. And out on the right hand side here are all the particulars of that job that I need. This is saying over on the right hand side here that actually we needed to delete this log because it thinks that that's still there. So it is not recorded. So the SID S1, month January, ruptures, 100 of, total cost 711 million. The cost per rupture, 7 million. What if I was to look at the cost of these ruptures in the market at the moment? 7,300,000. Which means that if I listed, I would make 200,000. I would make 200,000 per, which to be honest would not cover the costs of manufacture. So ruptures clearly would not have been a good market to go into. All right, so that's all done. And then I get that information. I have two options here now. What I should do is copy it and paste it straight back in there as values. So now this is no longer stored as a formula. This is now stored as a value. I'm going to take that information, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to put it into the log. Boom. It is now logged, and as you can see, it says it is recorded with this 1. So guys, that is it. We have finished the job tracker, at least the skeleton of it. Now, moving forward in the next few videos, should you want to follow along, we'll be looking at the seksification of the spreadsheets. Now, what does seksification mean? It means making our spreadsheets just that little bit sexy with some conditional formatting, some coloration, all this kind of stuff, just to improve the user experience and make it as beautiful as possible, I guess, so that we can be proud of our work and actually enjoy looking at the spreadsheet while we're using it. So I will see you soon. Thank you so much for following this far. Ciao. Catch you in the next video.
Mupersega out.